Experiencing Japan is amazing, but it's also full of little differences that can catch you off guard if you're not ready. From transportation hiccups to tech issues to restaurant rules and social etiquette, there's a lot that's easy to get wrong. Most of it is simple stuff, but if you don't know about it, it can turn into a bit of a headache. In this video, I'm going to cover the most common travel mistakes that people make while they're in Japan. Things that are easy to avoid once you know about them. A bit of prep means less confusion later and more time to enjoy the good stuff. Alright, let's get right into it. First, let's talk about the planning and booking mistakes. The first one is trying to do too many cities in too little time. Trying to hit up Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Hiroshima, Hokkaido, Okinawa in 10 days might sound like a dream trip, but it's just too much. You spend half your holiday on trains, dragging luggage around, and figuring out directions instead of actually enjoying the places that you're in. Japan is full of detail and charm, and you'll miss a lot of it if you're always rushing from one spot to another. Instead, pick 2 or 3 main locations and give yourself time to breathe. Take a slow morning in a local cafe, go off the beaten path, or just chill at an onsen without checking your watch. You'll get way more out of your trip by going deeper, not wider. Number 2 is forgetting to factor in transfer times between sites. Shinkansen bullet trains are iconic and fast, but getting from point A to B is rarely just a straight shot. You often need to take local trains to reach the station, navigate big stations with multiple platforms, wait for connections, and possibly walk long distance between transfers. All of that ends up eating into your day. A train ride that looks like 2 hours can actually take 3 or 4 when you count everything in, like waiting for the next train if you missed the previous one, or moving from one platform to another, or getting lost in major train stations like Shinjuku or Tokyo Station. When planning your schedule, add some buffer time so you're not rushing or missing things. A chill pace makes everything feel way more enjoyable. Number 3 is assuming the JR pass is always a good deal. If your plan includes lots of long-distance travel within a short period of time across the country, then yes, it might make sense. But if you're staying in one region or mostly taking local trains, it could be way more expensive than just buying individual tickets. Before you buy it, sit down with your itinerary and check your main train journeys using a fare calculator. It might feel like an annoying extra step, but it can seriously save you money. A little effort here means more money for snacks, souvenirs, and just random things you might come across. Check out our handy guide on determining whether or not the JR pass is right for you in the description box down below. Alright, number 4 is booking hotels without checking the nearest station exit. When a hotel says it's close to blah 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 station, that sounds really good until you find out that the station has 20 exits and you pick one of the ones in the opposite side. Japan's train stations can be huge and confusing, and walking around with heavy luggage looking for your hotel is probably not what you want to be doing. Before you hit the Book Now button, open up Google Maps to find the exact station exit your hotel is near and check the walking directions from that exit. It sounds like a little thing, but it can save you lots of time from a 20-minute detour in the rain or late night confusion after a long day out. Number 5 is not reserving activities or restaurants in advance. In Japan, the coolest and most famous spots book out early. Museums, art shows, team lab, Ghibli Museum, and even certain cafes and restaurants usually require reservations up front. Showing up on the day and hoping for the best usually doesn't work for famous places. To avoid missing out, make sure to plan ahead. If you're not sure about what needs to be booked ahead or how to do it, make sure to check out our Japan Travel Reservation Guide. It breaks down everything and helps you lock in the fun stuff stress-free so you're not scrambling last minute. We're here to make your life easier, so if you want a tea ceremony, for example, and not sure which supplier to go with, just let us know and we're here to help you. You can find more details in the description box down below. Okay, travel mistake number 6 is fixating on viral restaurants. It's so easy to get caught up in TikTok spots and Instagram famous food places, but the truth is many of them are packed with tourists, they're overrated, or impossible to get in. Meanwhile, Japan is absolutely full of incredible local spots that never really go viral but totally deserve to. Skip the queues and go where the locals eat. Use Tablo, ask your accommodation for recommendations, or just follow your nose down to a side street along the way. You'll often find better food with no wait, better prices, and a much more relaxed atmosphere. Again, we have a lot of recommendations and local spots that we'd love to share with you, so if you're interested, make sure to subscribe and press the bell notification and find more information in the description box down below. Okay, now let's talk about tech and app fails. Travel mistake number 7 is landing in Japan without the essential apps downloaded. If you land in Japan without the right apps, you're not doomed, but you're definitely going to be making things a little bit harder for yourself. A little digital prep before your trip can save you from so many different headaches, especially when you're trying to navigate train transfers, read signs, or find food spots that isn't just a random tourist trap. Here are some of the must-haves. Make sure to download these before you fly and set them up with offline features when it's possible. The most important app that you should have is Google Maps. You can use it for walking and train navigation. There's also a feature to download offline maps for the cities that you're visiting. If your signal drops, you'll still be able to find your way with the offline maps. Another app that's important is Google Translate. You can use the camera tool to translate signs and menus or type English and get spoken Japanese back. You can also download Japan Travel by Navitime or Japan Transit Planner. Both are pretty accurate. You can filter by JR Pass, get platform information, and see all your connections clearly on there. Another app you can consider is Tablo, the local go-to for restaurant reviews. It's a bit stricter than Google Reviews, and Filter can help you avoid tourist traps. You can use the browser version for English support as well. There's also Line, which is Japan's most used messaging app. It's really handy for communicating with hosts, tourists, or even locals that you meet. Another must-have is mobile Suica or Passmo. If you have iPhones and your region supports it, you can load up a digital IC card in Apple Wallet and skip the physical one altogether. Sort all of this out while you got solid Wi-Fi at home, and make sure to sign in, give permission, and download all the offline features if you need them. This way, you'll be way more prepared even when your SIM doesn't activate or somehow the Wi-Fi does not work. If you want the full list of all the essential apps as well as nice to have apps, we have a full list for you, so make sure to check out the description box down below. Alright, travel mistake 8 is not setting up mobile Suica or Passmo. I know I just quickly brought this up, but this is essential. IC cards like Suica and Passmo make day-to-day travel way smoother. You can tap into trains, buses, even convenience stores, vending machines, and more. The physical cards are really good if you don't have iPhones, and if you got an iPhone or a compatible Android phone, you can add one to your phone and top it up digitally. This transportation card can really save time, and you can avoid queues at the ticket machines. If you're gonna get the mobile version, just make sure that your region supports it before you go and get it set up in the Apple Wallet or Google Wallet in advance. Travel mistake number 9 is trusting Google Maps or Tablo too much. Google Maps is great for directions, but when it comes to food reviews in Japan, be careful. Ratings can be exaggerated by freebies or tourist hype, and you might end up in a place that looks great online but feels super average in real life. Also, take the listed opening hours with a pinch of salt, especially in smaller towns or countryside spots. In Tokyo, the opening hours stated on Google Maps usually are pretty accurate, but outside the big cities, a lot of places don't really bother updating their info. So sometimes when it's marked as open, it might actually be shut when you rock up. If you're going somewhere specific, it's worth giving them a quick call to make sure they're actually open. Tablo, the app that I mentioned earlier, is generally more reliable, but it's not perfect either. It's in Japanese by default, and the highly rated spots usually get fully booked or might not suit your vibe. Plus, it's still just reviews from strangers. If you really want to find places that locals love, you should leave it to people that actually live here. Just a quick shout out, we run several food and drink tours across Tokyo and other regions around Japan that take you to places you'd never stumble across on your own, from hidden neighborhood izakayas to bars to all kinds of different places. We even have tours catered to vegetarians. These aren't touristy chains, they're our real favorite spots, curated by locals who know their stuff. If you're interested, I've put the links in the description box as well. Now we're at travel tip number 10, using a weak SIM or Wi-Fi plan. Having reliable internet in Japan isn't just nice to have, it's essential. But not all SIM cards and pocket Wi-Fi options are equal. Before you buy, make sure you're getting something that runs on one of Japan's major networks like SoftBank or NTT Docomo. If you're not sure whether to go with a SIM card, pocket Wi-Fi, or an eSIM, we've got a full breakdown to help you decide what's best for your trip. You can find the link in the description box. It's really worth figuring this out before you land, so you're not scrambling for airport Wi-Fi or stuck with a plan that doesn't actually work for you. Travel mistake number 11, not having a physical backup of your hotel address in Japanese. Your phone is your best friend while you're traveling until it runs out of battery, loses signal, or just stops working for no reason. If you're trying to get to your hotel and need to ask someone for help or show a taxi driver where to go, a screenshot of the address in Japanese can actually save you a lot of hassle. Bonus points if it also has a phone number and nearby landmarks. It takes 2 seconds to sort this out and can seriously come into handy when you're tired, lost, or just can't deal with figuring things out on the fly. Now we're moving on to the next section, which is food and dining fails. Travel mistake number 12, missing your ryokan dinner time. If you're staying at a ryokan or minshuku, dinner is usually a really big deal. These traditional meals are planned in advance and made fresh just for you. But they're also served at a specific time, and if you show up late, there's a really good chance that the food won't be waiting. Ryokan kitchens don't run like restaurants, and you can't just ask them to hold your meal or heat it up later. If you think you'll arrive late, let the ryokan know as soon as possible. Or if you're unsure about the timing and you think you're going to arrive late, book your stay without dinner included and eat out instead. Staying at a ryokan also comes with a few other customs, like taking off your shoes at the entrance and wearing the provided yukata. Shared baths are usually open during set hours, not necessarily 24/7, so it's good to check the schedule when you arrive. It's all part of the charm, but being mindful of timing really does make the experience smoother. Travel mistake number 13, expecting to customize meals. Japan doesn't really do the "can I get this without that" unless you're somewhere that clearly offers substitutions. Set meals are usually just that, it's set. This isn't bad service, it's just not part of the culture. Chefs take pride in what they serve, and tweaking it on the fly isn't usually something they'll do. If you have dietary restrictions, it's really important to research places that cater to them ahead of time, or ask someone to help you call and check before you go. Travel mistake number 14, trying to get breakfast at 8 a.m. when it's not really a thing. If you're planning to start your day with a nice early breakfast at a local cafe, you might be a little bit out of luck. A lot of restaurants and cafes in Japan don't open until 9, 10, sometimes even 11, even in the big cities. Convenience stores, aka konbini, will save the day here with solid coffee, onigiri, sandwiches, and even hot food. Chain cafes like Dotor or Tully's can also be a good fallback for an early sit-down option. But if you're set on pancakes or a cute local spot, definitely check the opening hours in advance. One thing I would highly recommend is don't overlook kisaten. These traditional Japanese-style cafes have a super nostalgic, local vibe that's totally different from modern coffee chains. They are a really great way and underrated way to experience a more authentic side of Japan, especially if you're into the Showa atmosphere. They're usually also slower and quieter. Kisatens are usually open for breakfast, and I really recommend checking it out. Travel mistake number 15 is not checking for allergy-friendly spots ahead of time. Food allergies and dietary preferences can be tricky to manage in Japan, especially when language barriers come into play. Ingredient lists often aren't clear, and not all restaurants are familiar with how serious certain allergies can be, or that some people avoid certain foods for cultural or personal reasons, not just for medical ones. If you have an allergy or specific dietary preference, it's worth preparing a translation card that explains it all in Japanese. You can also ask your accommodation to help set it up or call the restaurant in advance for you. Don't just rely on being able to explain it in the moment. It's really better to be safe than stuck with a plate of mystery sauce and no idea what's inside. If you're vegetarian, vegan, or have other dietary preferences, check out this blog post that we have in the description box down below for tips of navigating the food scene in Japan. If you'd rather not stress about it at all, our food tours as well as our concierge service takes care of everything for you, so you can just show up and enjoy the eats. Travel mistake 16 is not knowing how to use ramen ticket machines. You walk into a ramen shop, and instead of someone greeting you with a menu, you met with a vending machine full of buttons and Japanese text. Welcome to the ramen ticket machine. These machines are actually super efficient once you get the hang of them. You choose your meal, insert your cash, often with only coins or bills, no cards, then you hand your ticket to the staff. If you're stuck, don't stress, just point at a picture on the menu or ask for help. Most staff at ramen restaurants are used to it and happy to assist. Travel mistake 17 is not queuing properly at popular food spots. Lining up is serious business in Japan. If a restaurant's popular, you probably need to queue, and there's usually a system. It might be a sign-up sheet, a numbered ticket, or just a classic line down the street. Don't hover by the door, try to squeeze in, or wait inside even if there are seats. Follow the lead of the staff and the people that are already waiting. When in doubt, just ask the staff member where to line up and they'll point you to the right direction. Travel mistake number 18, skipping department store food basements. Depachika, department store food basements, are a whole experience in themselves, packed with everything from high-end sushi and bento boxes to fried snacks, sweets, and seasonal treats. They're perfect for lunch on the go, dinner at your hotel, or just grabbing something quick before your train. And if you go in the evening, you usually catch discounts as they try to sell everything off before closing. Really, don't miss out. Some of the best meals in Japan aren't in restaurants. Travel mistake number 19, not knowing basic restaurant etiquettes. There's a bunch of small things about eating out in Japan that no one really tells you about, but they all add up to make you feel either blend in or stick out. Nothing too intense, just simple stuff that's good to know before you sit down so you don't accidentally offend someone or confuse yourself. When you're seated, you usually be given a wet towel called oshibori. This is for cleaning your hands, not your face or your neck, no matter how refreshing it might feel. Just give your hands a quick wipe and fold it neatly when you're done. In izakayas and casual restaurants, you might also get a small dish you didn't order. This is called an otoshi. It's basically a mandatory starter, and yes, it comes with a small cover charge, usually around 300 yen to 500 yen. It's not a scam, it's just how things work. You don't choose it and you can't opt out. Tipping in restaurants, don't do it. It's not part of the culture and will usually just confuse the staff. Unless there's a tip jar, if you try to leave money behind, someone will probably come running after you to return it. Also, when you order food, don't wave someone down or shout. Some places have call buttons at the table, so make sure to use that. If not, a polite sumimasen works. At the end of your meal, take your bill up to the counter near the door to pay, unless it says to pay at the table. Also, if you're sharing dishes, especially in izakayas, it's polite to use the opposite ends of your chopsticks or the serving utensils when picking from the shared plates. None of this stuff is super strict and locals don't expect you to be perfect. But knowing the basics makes the experience smoother, and you'll probably enjoy it more when you feel like you've got the hang of everything. Now we're up to the next section, which is transportation traps. Travel mistake number 20, not planning your airport to hotel route. Nothing kills the vibe faster than stepping off a long-haul flight and realizing you've got no clue how to get to your hotel. Japan's public transport is great, but it can be very overwhelming, especially when you're tired, in a new country, and just trying to read signs in a language you don't understand. Sort this out before you fly. Find out which train, bus, or shuttle gets you from the airport to your accommodation, and screenshot directions just in case you lose signal. If you're not sure where to start, we've got a helpful guide on how to get from the airport to the city center in the description box below. Travel mistake number 21 is standing on the wrong side of escalators. This one's simple but very real. In most of Japan, people stand on the left side of the escalator and let others pass on the right. But in Osaka and a few other regions near Osaka, it's the opposite. You stand on the right and walk on the left. If you don't follow the flow, you mess up the rhythm and might even get some passive-aggressive sighs or stares. Just watch what the locals are doing in front of you and copy them. It's one of those tiny things that makes you look like you know what you're doing. Travel mistake number 22, taking the right train in the wrong direction. Train platforms can be confusing, especially in bigger stations with multiple lines and directions. Even locals make this mistake. You might get on the correct line, but if you're not paying attention, you could end up heading the wrong way, sometimes without even realizing, until you're 5 stops deep. Always double check the platform signs and final destination of the train before you hop on. Apps like Japan Transit Planner and Google Maps are super helpful, but still take a second to confirm what's on the screen to make sure that it matches what's in front of you. And if you're unsure, ask somebody. Station staff are usually quite helpful, even if their English is limited. Travel mistake number 23, not using luggage forwarding when you really should. Dragging heavy suitcase through packed stations, upstairs, and onto crowded trains is not just tiring, it's kind of a nightmare. Japan's stations can be massive, with multiple transfers, and not everyone has lifts and escalators. If you got big luggage and a full day of travel ahead, it's absolutely worth considering using a luggage forwarding service. These services like Yamato or JAL ABC let you send your bags ahead of time to your next hotel, usually overnight. It's affordable, reliable, and makes moving so much easier. You can travel hands-free, avoid the stress, and just collect your bags when you check in. If you're not sure how to book it, just ask your hotel because most places are used to it and may even have partner services that they regularly use. If you're interested, we also have a resource about how it all works and how to book it in more details. Like I mentioned before, dragging a suitcase around all day is not the way to go. Most train stations in Japan have coin lockers, which are super handy, surprisingly cheap, and easy to use. You can just put your bags away in the lockers while you explore, pick them up later, and move around way more freely. Larger lockers are limited and can fill up fast in busy areas, so try to arrive early if you're carrying bulky things. Some stations and malls also have smart lockers that you can book through an app. And if lockers are full or your luggage simply doesn't fit, don't worry. A lot of major train stations actually have manned luggage storage counters where staff will securely hold your bags for a small fee. There are also third-party services that partner up with cafes, shops, and hotels to store luggage throughout the day. When in doubt, just ask the station info desk and they'll usually be able to help you. Travel mistake number 25, missing the last train and getting stranded. Trains in Japan stop running surprisingly early, usually around midnight, even in big cities like Tokyo. If you're out late and not paying attention to the time, it's really easy to miss the last train home. And if you do miss the last train, taxis are basically your only option and they're not cheap. We're talking about 6,000 yen plus for what could have been a 20-minute train ride. Always check the last train times from the station nearest to where you're going, especially if you're staying out late for dinner, drinks, or an event. Travel mistake number 26, assuming taxis are cheap or always available. Taxis in Japan are super clean, polite, and reliable, but they're not exactly budget friendly. Even short rides can be pricey, and long ones will really eat into your wallet. Plus, you can't always hail one like you would in other countries, especially late at night or in rural areas. Some cities have ride apps like Go or Didi, but availability can be spotty depending on where you are. It's best to treat taxis as a backup plan, not your main mode of transport, especially when you're not in big cities. Plan around trains and buses as much as possible in rural areas and save taxis for those I have no other option moments. Now we're moving on to the next part, which is money mistakes that people usually make. Travel mistake number 27, arriving with no yen and a card that doesn't work in ATMs. Japan is still a cash-heavy country, and not every card will work in every ATM. A lot of travelers arrive assuming that they can just withdraw money like normal, only to have their card rejected when they need them the most. Before you trip, check with your bank that your card works internationally and will function in Japanese ATMs. Stick to ATMs in 7-Eleven, Family Mart, or Japan Post branches because they're the most reliable when it comes to foreign cards. And you can always land with a little bit of yen already on you just to get you through to the first train ticket or the first meal. Travel mistake number 28, relying only on credit cards. Even in major cities, there are still loads and loads of places like restaurants, markets, temples, small local shops that don't take cards at all. You don't want to be caught off guard when you finish eating and realizing this place only take cash. Use a mix. Keep some cash on you for smaller spots and use an IC card like Suica or Pasmo for daily spending, and save your credit card for bigger purchases or hotels. This combo can cover you in almost every situation. Travel mistake number 29, not checking your international withdrawal fees. Some banks charge extra fees every time you take cash out abroad, and those charges can add up fast. Between ATM fees and your own bank's fees, you could be losing more than you think without realizing it. Before you trip, check what your bank charges are for international withdrawals and if there's also a better card or account to use while you're abroad. Even better, bring a backup card just in case something goes wrong or one gets blocked. Travel mistake number 30, exchanging money at home or airport instead of using ATMs. It might feel like a safe move to exchange your yen before leaving, but you almost always get a worse rate doing it that way, especially at airport counters. You get way better rates withdrawing yen from a local ATM once you arrive. Just make sure your card works, like what I mentioned before, and don't forget to notify your bank that you're traveling so they don't flag your first transaction as suspicious. Travel mistake number 31, not getting or using an IC card like Suica or Pasmo. IC cards are a game changer. You can use them for trains, subway, buses, vending machines, convenience stores, even coin lockers. They're chargeable, easy to top up, and just make everything faster and easier. You can buy a physical Suica or Pasmo card when you arrive, or if you're using an iPhone and live in a supported region, you can set one up digitally in Apple Wallet or Google Pay even before you leave. Either way, get one early. They make a massive difference when you're navigating daily travel. Now let's move on to the next section about accommodation and ryokan. Travel mistake number 32, booking hotels far from useful stations. Where you stay in Japan can have a huge impact on your trip, not just in terms of comfort, but also time, money, and energy. You might be thinking, oh, it's fine, I'll just book something a little bit cheaper outside of the city, but then you might end up spending hours every day just getting to and from the places you actually want to visit. You don't need to book a hotel right at Tokyo Station or Shinjuku Station, but staying near a major well-connected station makes a huge difference. It's even better if you can find accommodation on a stop or two away on a major line because it's cheaper but still very convenient. Just make sure it's right next to the station or very walkable so you're not dragging your luggage across town. Avoid places that are too far out with limited train access unless you're in a rural area because that will eat up your day and keep you far from the good stuff. Travel mistake number 33, not knowing onsen rules. Bathing at a sento or onsen is an amazing way to experience Japanese culture, but there are a few important rules to know before you hop in. These public baths aren't just for getting clean, they're for relaxing. That means following local etiquette is a must. Before entering the bath, make sure you wash thoroughly at the shower stations. No soap, shampoo, or scrubbing once you're in the bath itself. Don't splash around or swim or duck your head under the water. Also, don't soak your towel in the water because most people fold it and just leave it on their head or on the side. And absolutely no photos, no matter how pretty the setting might be. Tattoos can still be an issue in most places, so check ahead because some spots allow them and some won't, and others offer also cover-up stickers or have private baths that you can book. If you're not sure how something works, just ask politely or look for signs and instructions. We have a detailed guide on how to enjoy Japan's hot springs like a locals, so make sure to check it out. Travel mistake number 34, getting annoyed about checking in and checking out times. If your check-in is at 3 p.m., that's when your hotel room is likely ready, no earlier. Don't count on early check-ins or free upgrades even if it's for a special occasion. It's not about bad service, it's just the norm here. The best thing to do is drop your bags off at the front desk and go explore until your room's ready. Same goes for checkout. Aim to be out on time. It keeps things smooth for everyone. Travel mistake number 35, not realizing hotel rooms are tiny, like really tiny. Unless you're staying somewhere fancy or in a local area, hotel rooms in Japan tend to be compact. And by compact, I mean just enough space for basically a room, a narrow walkway, and maybe a fold-out desk. Opening a full-size suitcase on the floor might be quite tricky. It's totally normal here, especially in city business hotels. The key is to pack smart, keep things tidy, and avoid bringing more than you actually need. If you're traveling with large bags, you can consider using luggage forwarding to keep the room from feeling even smaller. The space might be tight, but it's functional. You get used to it quickly. Let's move on over to talking about etiquette and cultural mistakes. Travel mistake number 36, wearing shoes indoors. This is a big one. In Japan, wearing your shoes indoors, especially in someone's home, a ryokan, a certain restaurant, a specific place, is a hard no. You usually see a clear space at the entrance with shelves or a step-up area where you're meant to take off your shoes. If slippers are provided, use them, but don't forget to take those off too when you're stepping onto the tatami mats. And there's often a separate pair of slippers just for the toilet. It feels like a lot at first, but once you get used to it, it just becomes second nature. Travel mistake number 37, traveling during major holidays without planning for crowds. Golden Week, which is late April to early May, Obon, which is mid-August, and New Year's are huge travel times in Japan. Locals are off work, everyone's moving around, and everything, including hotels, trains, restaurants, get really packed. This does not mean that you shouldn't come to Japan during those times, it just means that you should plan in advance. Book your train tickets early, lock in your accommodation, and be mentally ready for big crowds and queues. If you're not a fan of hectic vibes, you might want to avoid these dates altogether or go to local areas instead. Travel mistake number 38, assuming everyone speaks English. This one catches people off guard. Japan has amazing service and loads of signage, but that doesn't mean that everyone can speak English. This is especially true outside big cities or in smaller spots like ramen shops or countryside train stations. So don't roll in expecting perfect English everywhere. Be ready to point at menus, gesture your way through conversations, and pull out your translation app when needed. Smile, be chill, and roll with it. If you keep things light, people will usually try to help, even if you're both just guessing half the time. Japan travel mistake number 39, using loud voices in quiet zones. Trains in Japan are quiet, so are temples, shrines, and many traditional inns. You notice that locals tend to speak softly or not at all in these areas, and loud conversations really stick out. You don't necessarily need to whisper, but try to match the volume of the space that you're in. If everyone else is quiet, take the hint and keep things low-key. It's just about being aware of your surroundings and respectful of the shared space. Japan travel mistake number 40, overlooking seasonal events and local festivals. Japan is packed with incredible seasonal events like summer fireworks, autumn foliage light-ups, winter illuminations, and spring matsuri. But if you don't do a little bit of research before your trip, you might miss them entirely. Some of the best memories you will have in Japan aren't tourist attractions. They're the pop-up food stores, lanterns, drum performances, or random street parades that you stumble across. Look up what's happening in the areas you'll be visiting and try to time your trip around something cool. Even a small local festival can end up being the highlight of your trip. We share about what's happening in Tokyo and Japan all the time, so make sure to follow us on social media. Now that you know about these mistakes, make sure to check out our Japan travel tips and itineraries to help you get the most out of your time here in Japan. We run private and group tours where you get to experience the must-sees and local spots with local expert friends. We also help guests plan your entire trip, so if you're curious, make sure to check it out in the description box. I hope you have a great day ahead. Thanks for sticking around for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.